John Skyrim has finally stepped aside for his brother John Oblivion, so let's take a look at his facelift. I've sunk some solid 50 hours into this remaster, and with over 1000 hours of Oblivion from my childhood, I think I'm more or less qualified to give Virtues their flowers and maybe even spit on that bouquet a little too. Not gonna lie, I was hyped as hell during my first boot up. The title screen hit hard, and the character creation UI was uncanny. Familiar yet fresh. It even has some The Elder Scrolls Online flair, which I don't like to be honest. A big surprise was the new origin selection system, and this is one of those things that you can view in two ways. On one hand, it helps tailor your character and includes some nice lore tidbits about different parts of Tamriel, which is cool. On the other hand, it feels like a workaround for the fact that gender-based stat differences have been removed. I did hope that Bethesda made a step into adding more RPG elements into the game, but considering that nothing new was actually added, and this thing being just another DI checkbox, meh. Character creation itself though, top notch. The faces now look semi-believable but cartoony in a good way, except for walks. From Shrek 5 casting call to an actual walk. However, you can still create the one from the Emperor's Dreams, but if you want to spend a few hours sculpting a decent looking character or even your own cat and then play the entirety of the game in first person, go for it. Decent looking people is a new thing for Oblivion. Right from the get-go, post creating Abomination and enduring a small prison roast, one can notice the next change. When you talk to people in the remaster, a whole professional lighting crew storms in to make the close-up with the character more fabulous. Yum! After a quick boxing match with some movable chains, a classic Emperor hunt, a less classic but freshly animated Emperor's death, and a bit of goblin cleansing, we finally step outside. And what can I say? This game looks astonishing. The draw distance, the lightning, the vegetation, plus little additions like butterflies, dragonflies, and even cockroaches. They went all out, and one can really see that. For the first 10 hours, I just ran around rediscovering the world. The Oblivion gates look insane, the lighting effects around them are stunning. The arena walls have actual texture and look much more imposing than they usually do. And don't even get me started on the Shivering Isles. Glowing mushrooms, root tunnels, and gromite nests look exactly how I imagined them when I was 9. It's wild. Nonetheless, we don't live in a perfect world, and this case was an exception, so the catch here was of course in performance. On my RTX 4080, I got around 70 FPS in open areas, but dips to 14 even 20 FPS were frequent and painful. Frame generation helped a bit, but the starters completely kill the vibe. Those fake frames also make the picture blurry, especially when moving quickly. Combine that with Unreal Engine 5's signature film grain and you get a Stalker 2 situation, where the game looks fucking insane in certain predominantly closed locations and gives you a grainy meh performance most of the time. I mean, in my opinion, Virtuous did everything they could, and the game looks as good as it humanly possible at the moment. This criticism is forwarded more toward the Unreal Engine 5 performance than anything else. Let's hope we move on from this graphics over performance era soon. Where Virtuous really nailed it, sound design. Old Oblivion felt like your character had a Bluetooth speaker strapped to his chest. Every sound, no matter the source, was equally loud and flat. Now, sounds finally travel.
All on the same night. Wait a minute, let me do that one again. I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night.
You can hear people muffled through the walls. Footsteps echo naturally, sword scrapes change based on surface. It's buttery. Menu sounds are crisper, lockpicking feels punchier, armor types and magic effects now have distinct in audio, and the ambient sound. Just take a listen to the background noises in Crucible. Incredibly atmospheric. Purchase also recast voice actors for some races, which was a good call, but I still kinda missed the old janky charm. No more schizophrenic dialogues of the same actor on the streets.
How goes it? I've been better. I hope things get better. Bye. Goodbye. Oh, hello. How are you today? I've been better. How about you? I've been better.
Or hive mind guards all yelling, "Stop right there, you criminal scum," in the same voice. Some Argonian lines just don't hit the same, still a logical change. Another great addition was the fighting system. And I meant that as an addition because beforehand we barely had any. I mean, the whole patting an enemy with your sword could be called a fighting system by some people, but I think that even Morven's dice system was better, and I don't even like it at all. Original Oblivion had almost no collision, no combos, and no bitches. The remaster granted us the feel of counter pressure when you hit an enemy with something. Your vis-a-vis even flinch a little into the direction of the blow, plus crunchy sounds on top of that. The impact from arrows also became better, magic gives off power now, so finally it is pleasant to fight in Oblivion. It's not DMC3 type pleasant, but nobody asked for that, so it's good nonetheless. There was some rumors that the remaster's fighting system was inspired by Dark Souls, and it is even partially truth, because now we have a dodge feature in Acrobatics tree. It's a cool new thing, don't get me wrong, but with Oblivion's hitboxes, I don't know. Animation improvements are also a big change. Characters now pivot slightly when moving, no longer stuck facing one direction like mannequins. Running and jumping animations are cleaner, and there is even sprinting now. It looks fine unless you're going uphill, but hey, it's Oblivion, a little goofiness is on brand. And now speaking of sprinting, I've noticed that gravity feels heavier. Moving uphill for both you and your enemies is way harder. It adds a surprising layer to fights. Suddenly, holding the high ground actually matters. A small touch, but a fun one. There are new animation for harvesting ingredients, and even magic casting has some new moves to flex with. Solid improvements all around. At the end of the day, this is still the same good Oblivion. I finished the main quest, all DLCs and guilds, and I can say that with 100% certainty. And that is actually a problem. Hey, if you watched till here, I'd urge you to subscribe and leave a like, because come on, you're already here, you might as well stay longer. The one thing that made me quit after 50 hours, and the reason why Oblivion is my least favorite Elder Scrolls game, auto-leveling, and they haven't fixed that. The funny thing is, Virtuous did address a part of it. The original system required leveling skills tied to specific attributes to get good stat boosts. Endurance had to be maxed early, or you'd be stuck with low HP forever. Skill trainers were capped per level, which made optimizing even harder than, for example, in Morrowind. The new system, however, gives you 12 attribute points per level, no grinding required. It's exactly 12 because the original system limited luck to just +1 per level, so now it takes 5 points at once to raise it. This streamlines things and makes non-combat classes more viable. They reworked the leveling system, yes, but not the auto-leveling, the actual core problem. In the original game, if you leveled up poorly, enemies would outscale you and you'd be screwed. Every 5 levels, they'd either evolve or get replaced by stronger variants. You had to level efficiently just to keep up, not to get stronger, but to break even. You don't need to jump through endurance hoops anymore, which helps, but the difficulty scaling remains busted. You either play in adept difficulty, which has the fairest 1x damage modifier for receiving and outputting, yet it's boring, because you can more or less face roll enemies even with auto-leveling on. You could just ignore leveling at all, as many Oblivion connoisseurs are proposing, but that is whack. And back then in the original Oblivion, it was more or less okay, because you could regulate this modifier in the menu, which could be toggled precisely to your liking. But now you can't do it anymore, because we have the difficulty system from Skyrim, and here is the difference in modifiers for each difficulty level. The difference between Adept and Expert is 3.5 times, and I can do shit about it. Now there is no middle ground. I'm either a demigod who wipes anything anywhere and doesn't even need the upgrades because, one more time, every fucking enemy is set to your level. Or I can understand the quote,
"I fought mud crabs more fearsome than you."
Literally, and fight insane damage sponges while utilizing every possible exploit in the universe. And do you want to know the kicker? Leveling is faster now, so the scaling problem feels even worse. Higher difficulties do make the game harder, but in the most tedious way. It just feels cheap when you have the same tier of gear as your opponents, yet they annihilate you into a pulp. The whole auto-leveling problem feels even weirder when you consider that Bethesda already made a pretty balanced world in Morrowind, where most of the area had a static level, with only certain quest-related enemies and random encounters scaling to your level. Well, let's take the survival mode in Fallout 4, where everyone, including you, are glass cannons, so the game is hard, yet it's still fun to plan your actions without fights turning into a bloated mess. Both of those philosophies weren't used in regard to Oblivion, so I don't know where this myth with Oblivion Remaster fixed progression came from. Once the nostalgia fades, you remember why Oblivion was kinda a drag. The lack of real progression killed it. I loved this remaster. I happily paid Todd again for War's armor in 2025, but the one edge I needed scratched is still there. I get that they wanted to keep the game authentic, and it is the same goofy as Oblivion. However, many issues were fixed. Why not the biggest one? It actually baffles me. Why patch gender-based stats but not difficulty scaling? Maybe they figured modders would handle it, and judging by how mod-friendly this remaster is, even on a GPU-melting UE5 engine, they might be right. I wouldn't think I'd say something like this in 2025, but now I want Skyrim to look like Oblivion. And I'm sure some very talented modders share this sentiment. Wink wink. Hey, don't click away. Check out my other videos on why the Elder Scrolls music sounds so unique. Thanks for watching and stay tuned because there is much more to come. I love you and have a good one.